ended, so in case that doesn't upload, hello everyone and welcome to the Formula Virtual Racing Academy, here for round number 4 of the Singapore Grand Prix. I'm Jake Scarborough, your commentator for today's event. Right now, Dean Davison, the defending champion, he sits on pole with a 136.491, a little bit faster than the Williams just behind him. As we pull up the driver info for today's race to make sure, yes, Thomas Main in second has been an ultimate underdog, it seems, this season. He sits there. Obviously, Luke Davies in third with a 137.235. You get to see something out of the Aston Martin drivers that, although they won the Constructors' Championship last season, they almost had an incident as they went side by side right there and still are attempting something entering the pit. We will not, excuse me, see any issue with that taking on. Meantime, we keep an eye on other drivers. We have a new face in the field. That would be Leighton no, that is not Leighton Spite. That is Santiago Aruja? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, so I apologize if I've badly butchered that. I'm not sure who Dolger is, so if I could get information on that. See Chloe Glennon in 13th, who then loops it right as I switch the camera to her. Meantime, Brennan White, the other Williams in the field, coasting around this track at the moment. Leighton Spite, the other McLaren driver, he is in 7th with a 140.072. So not an ideal lap for the McLaren driver. However, seeing Santiago Arojo entering the pit lane, obviously with a issue on his lap, setting the 159. So not a lot of ideal laps, a lot of guys just kind of coasting around right here. I believe the Mercedes is on an in lap as well. But now we start seeing motions in the pit lane as multiple drivers out for another out lap. Luke Davies currently on one, Bourboon as well. And then Leighton Spite in the background, as you saw, is also ready to get going for a good lap. Wow, an extension there from Bourboon, so not sure what the issue there was with this car. Jump up right there, I swear I just saw. Maybe not. Meantime, the AlphaTauri driver for tonight, that would be Alex the G. He joined me on commentary last season in Spa. I believe that was when Tyler Dean Davison locked up the championship over Avesta Gobati. So he'll be in tonight's field under the lights in Singapore. His teammate not too far behind him, that would be Kyle Albert, who also is on an outlap. So lots of movement going on through here, but let's see what Luke Davies do as he comes through the final set of corners, setting up for the final little straight leading up to the final corner. And out of it, where does Luke Davies go? Does he beat his teammate at the top of the charts? No, he doesn't even go quicker. An interesting situation for Davies to be in. Gotta keep an eye on other drivers on hot laps at the moment. Actually, no, I don't believe the game is telling me the truth there. I believe Davies just started his flying lap. Nevertheless, only two drivers have yet to post a time. That would be Avesta Gobati and Chloe Glennon. Purple Sector 1 for Davies. Let's see if he can keep that up through Sector 2, keeping an eye on him. Yellow at the beginning, or middle portion of Sector 1. That would be with the Ferrari driver, so not so sure what caused that. And an invalidation on his lap, Luke Davies cutting that little tiny chicane right there that seems to just mess up a lot of guys. Nevertheless, Barboon's going to haul down this DRS straight and try to get a little bit of slipstream off the Aston Martin before leading through here. Purple through Sector 2. Takes out a little wide on the exit. That was an interesting apex right over the rumble strip. Surprised that was an invalidation, with the right front just going completely overboard. Jeez. A little bit tongue-tied. It's been a while since I've done this whole commentary thing. Nevertheless, going through the final sets of corners in Sector 3, where will Barboon go? As he takes it in. Interesting move there. See Fidel Fabian in the first sector. He's currently slated in 7th with 138.967, so we'll keep an eye to see where he goes. Leighton Spite also taking it in. Not sure what's going on with a few of these guys, or the sessions just mess with me. I'm not too sure. Keep an eye on Kyle Albert, then. The AlphaTauri driver, currently slated in 10th. We've seen lots of good things out of this man, but nevertheless, we should have kept an eye on Tyler Dean Davison, who ends up going faster with a 136.423. It's just another race where it seems he can be untouchable, but obviously we have not seen a Vestigo Body, the man who challenged him for the title. But Alex, great, or Alex the G, he's in, oh, when a spin there from Albert. Alex the G goes fast with a 136.392, as you also saw Thomas Main get closer to the pole time with a 136.578. So a lot of these guys getting under a comfortable little blanket before race time. Still 5.5 minutes left in this qualifying session. Going through the final corner, where will Fidel Fabian go? He goes to 6th, so one position up on the board with a 138.267. So not much of an improvement, but one nevertheless, the reserve driver in the Red Bull. Quite a few reserve drivers in today's field, and it looks like a little bit of a talking in the Discord chat between Leighton Spite and Santiago Araujo. Not ideal. Speaking of Santiago, he is spun out in a very tight area of the track. May as well call this the Austin Powers scene, as he tries to get it back going and hopefully doesn't mess up Thomas Main's lap, who is flying through him. This is his end lap anyways. See, will the AlphaTauri driver behind him be going in? Yes, it will. Oh, but Dolger on an outlap right now. So lots of weird things we're seeing through the field. Still no lap set from a Vesico Body nor Chloe Glennon. So it's going to be interesting to see if either of them can fight that way through. There's a little bit of wall contact there from the Mercedes driver. They have hiccups, so that's always fantastic to have well on commentary. It's a 2/10 blanket separates the top three. See what the Mercedes should do here. And it says he's not on an outlap anymore, so I'm not sure really what this game's doing. And why it's saying, like, oh, you're starting at laps in the weirdest area, so let's see if it'll count his lap right here. I'm not sure who that is. Nevertheless, the Mercedes crosses the line, so as of right now it hasn't updated the sheet to put him in any prime position. Con Dolger, okay, so Con Dolger is the Mercedes driver. So I still try to figure out the rest of the grid. Fidel Fabian's going to call it a session there, being the first retirement of the session here. And Thomas Main will end up joining him, so Thomas Main content with that third place spot if it lasts, because obviously you see drivers behind still too close, as Luke Davies being one of them, who getting ready to warm up the tires for his flying lap. We'll see what he can do, the Mercedes driver. Yeah, on an in lap, so I'm not sure what this situation involves. You see, yeah, Vestigavati staying in, so that's not good at all. And okay. Anyways, see, one of the Williams drivers, that was Brennan White, so 209.7, yeah, he got that scuff lap that he needs to improve. Keep an eye on him as the Williams driver looks to make something out of nothing outside of points paying positions in terms of the race finish. So obviously you never want to start outside the top 10 because that's a long way to work up towards the front. I think bomb rush of cars worked their way out of the final corner, and one of them being Barboon. You see both McLarens over here as well. And that'll be clean. He was slow right there. That was Kyle Albert. Not sure if he's waiting to go into the pits or not. They're just trying to set a gap to go. It looks like, yep, there it is. He's on the throttle and ready to go for a hot lap, and he'll be the last one to set such lap. Keeping an eye on Brennan White, though. Williams, where can he go through the final sets of corners in Sector 3? No more times can be set other than the ones you're on right now, and there's a spin. That's Chloe Glennon in the first sector, and Brennan White jumps up to 8th with a 139.351. And it looks like Chloe Glennon will not be setting a lap time either as she retires from the session. Now going back to which Mercedes is that the one that's not going to be able to get around in time either way. Validation on his lap, so that ends his session. See Santiago going to 10th with a 140.389. The other Mercedes, Condolger, he's going to go through the final corner and bring it on into the pits, the paddock area. See Barboon, where will he go currently in 7th? Will he jump up any more positions? He jumps Fidel Fabian, and he also jumps Condolger. So he'll go to P5 with a 137.339. You see, as well as Tyler Davison with a beautiful lap, setting a 135.960, jumping up to the top. And Luke Davies does jump Thomas Main to go to 3rd. But it's not a front row lockout for Aston Martin with a 136.413. Saw Alex the G could not respond, and you see Kyle Albert, I believe, just jumped up a couple positions. Not so sure. Nevertheless, and yes, as you can see, Kyle Albert jumped up to 6th. So lots of movement throughout that last minute of qualifying. But you see the Aston Martin drivers once again towards the front of the grid. Tyler Davison leads off the field with a 4/10 pole time over 2nd and 3rd, and then 6/10 over 4th. Everyone else is more than a second back, so keep an eye on that top 4 because they are going to be the ones fighting for this win at the end of the day, I feel. Unless maybe someone towards the back of the grid can work their way back up. Nevertheless, we'll see you guys when it's time for the lights out. As the field gets ready, you see the predicted pit stop strategy that was at the bottom of your screen. A long race ahead of us, one of the hottest on the schedule. The lights in Singapore are on and ready to go as these drivers make their way around during the formation lap. And as a spin back there for Luke Davies, so warming up the tires goes a long way, but now a huge gap separated from 5th on back. I guess if this were the actual race, it would be 4th on the back, but nevertheless. See a 14-car field brought to you here today. The question is, who comes out on top? Could you answer with an easy question? Could you answer the question with an easy answer? That being Tyler Davison and that Aston Martin. But truthfully, if I were to pick someone to win, I truthfully think that Thomas Main could get it done finally this season. The Williams driver sitting back as the ultimate underdog, because last season was a questionable season for him. Yes, he made his way towards the front on a few occasions, but this season he has been out of the gates amazingly. Saw that at Coda, for example, and Bahrain as well. Nevertheless, it's hard to take away what Aston Martin has done this season. Defending Constructors champions from McLaren, now at Aston Martin, make their way towards the grid once more. Jeez, as I try to clear my throat before the start of this race. You see the drivers forming back up. See them swerving towards their grid slots. Wow, a drift out of there from Boom. That was something out of Tokyo, I guess. Alex G gets disqualified from the formation lap. You see the rest of the field start to creep up on their grid slots as they all get ready to go here in Singapore. And here we go. The lights are being set up here. You hear the engines revving. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And here we go. Lights out. And down they charge from the straightaway. Out of the grid slots. There you see the move to the outside on his teammate. Luke Davies tried making an early move for the lead, but he gets to second quickly. Thomas Main in third, and a lot of havoc going on behind the leaders as they charge through the first sector. Now down the second DRS straight, another spin in the back. That would be Brennan White in the tail end. Not so sure how that's happened. And a 5-second 5-second time penalty for Con Dolger for gaining one spot under either the caution or by cutting. And you see working his way from P14 to now P9, Yuri Wessels is on the hunt for the lead as he's got a long way to go. Chloe Glennon spins out again. She's had a tough time in qualifying, and seemingly now the race. It's going to be a long day for her if she doesn't figure something out. Once again, the predicted pit stop strategy at the bottom of your screen. It's going to be a questionable day. You see the Mercedes driver, Con Dolger, in 4th place. He goes purple in Sector 2. But nevertheless, that 5-second time penalty is going to hurt him at the end of this. The Aston Martin drivers under a blanket now as they try to charge away from the rest of the field, but just behind them is the Williams of Thomas Main, as they have a separation from Con Dolger, who is in 4th place. They're trying all they can to move away as fast as possible. There you see Kyle Albert. He's on the hunt for the Mercedes driver, who's the bridge between a podium and the rest of the field. And quite honestly, I'm not sure it's going to be much, as you see a hard charging Bourboon right behind Kyle Albert as they charge into turn 1, and another spin in the back. That's Santiago Araujo. Not so sure what's happened with him, because obviously we won't be able to find out, but he falls back to P14. As the lap winds on, you see Leighton Spite make quick work of Fidel Fabian, it seems like, throughout that lap. Yuri Wessels now trying to do the same thing, making quick work of the Red Bull driver. He's going to look to the inside, but backs out of it at the last second just to not make a bold move. Once again, the predicted pit stop strategy at the bottom of the screen. Can this thing go away? As we've got some moves going on in very close to contact with the gearbox of the 51. Once again, the Mercedes driver is going to send it in hard. A little bit of contact to the Red Bull, but he gets around quickly. Yuri Wessels doing all he can to make his way through the field quickly, but that's not a way you want to make a move on a driver. Sure, they're both reserves, but geez, you do not want that to happen. As you see Albert with the send right there in Borboon as he gets around to P5. And once again, Santiago Araujo around in the back. He could be the cause of a first safety car, but Leighton spites around. Leighton spites around in the fast chicane. It looks like he just lost grip off the throttle, and that's going to hit him towards the back and possibly some damage for his car. But you see Yuri Wessels is now trying to charge in on Kyle Albert and Borboon. Fastest lap time so far with the Thomas Main with a 141.803, I believe that was on the medium compounds. But DRS is now activated. The huge thing for this race, because this is going to change some of these battles, especially down all these DRS straights, seeming as this track is a high downforce track, but you can get away with so much if you have little downforce on these straights. Not so far ahead is Kondolger of that AlphaTauri, though. He is out of the DRS, but we're going to see a move from Borboon to the inside. Maybe a little bit of contact. He's going to get the elbows out, but now it's going to be a move from Kyle Albert. No, he got cleared by the Alpine driver. As the top three just in a small gap is, this is a seemingly weird camera angle. Never back to the action as both the Astons try to fend off Thomas Main, but he's trying all he can to get around Luke Davies, who seems to be the rear gunner. He seems to be the Valtteri Bottas of this situation. And another spin in the back, that's Chloe Glennon. Oh my, not needed at all, but Yuri Wessels, even without the DRS, has charged in on the two cars ahead. Could he be the ultimate underdog of this race, starting last and making his way to the top step of the podium? Well, he's showing the speed capable of doing so on those medium tires. See Kondolger just in a world of his own right now in a spin! That is Luke Davies! And that's going to be huge for Thomas Main to get around the race leader if he has the opportunity. Falling back to P7 and possibly P8 if Fidel Fabian can get up there quick enough. The Dominican driver not too far behind the Aston Martin. But nevertheless, you've got a battle on your hands possibly coming up, because Kyle Albert's going to try getting back to P4, but they've got a hard-charging Yuri Wessels just behind them. So the gap isn't close enough. You see that Borboon's out of ERS deployment. Chloe Glennon retiring from the session on lap 4 in the pits, and that's all she wrote for the McLaren driver. See Borboon just trying to walk away from Kyle Albert, but it's not going to be easy. He's saving up that ERS deployment throughout this section just to use it all down this DRS straight. But look who's just behind them now. That's Luke Davies. We're going to see now also if Yuri Wessels has the speed to keep up with someone that qualified up front but also ran up front, let alone in second for this first few laps of this race. The movement going on here as these four guys under a tiny gap as they're doing all they can. But back to the front of the field, you see Dean Davison not too far ahead, but Thomas Main with another fastest lap with 141.621 on the medium tires. Seeing the leader on the hards, could that be an issue with their strategies? Could that be why Thomas Main's keeping up? Or is he just laying back? Well, you think if he'd be laying back, he'd try to get around Davison as quickly as possible just to save in front of him. But a spin in the back, that will be Kyle Albert, as not good for his race, as that's going to make a huge change with this battle for P4. Because now Yuri Wessels has an easy opportunity to get around Bourboon if he can catch up to him down one of these DRS straights. New fastest lap of the race is a 141.492 set by Alex the G. An interesting way to see this race go. Luke Davies trying to get behind the Mercedes-powered car, let alone the Mercedes factory car. As looking for a move right there, you saw Yuri Wessels do that to Fidel Fabian just a few laps ago. He tried doing it on Bourboon, but Bourboon put a little more throttle into it than Yuri thought. As he's going to get back going, the DRS activated. He's going to look to the inside of the Alpine driver, try to send it in, but Bourboon's going to be right there to the inside, but no, he won't. He gets cleared by the Mercedes. Now, will Luke Davies get by him quickly? That's going to be the question at hand now, because we know the speed that Davies has. Another car around, that's Leighton Spite. McLaren not having a good day. And another car around. Oh, that's Santiago. And a 3-second time penalty for Yuri Wessels. Both Mercedes with time penalties early in this race. That's not what you need at all if you're charging for a win. But they sit third and fourth right now. As that's not what you need. Leighton Spite around again in the last sector. As it seems like Santiago Araujo is still not going. I'm not sure why he's just parked over here. As I'm not so sure. Oh my. He's gonna flat? No, he's... Oh no. Oh no. Another fastest lap from Alex the G, 141.330, but I don't like what I'm seeing right here with the Ferrari driver. And another retirement from the race. Both McLarens will not finish as Leighton Spite brings it into the paddock to retire it for good. But now you've got a lap car of Santiago Araujo just ahead of the battle for the lead. Will Thomas Main try to take advantage of it? It looks like he's just going to sit back and let whatever comes next, well, happen. I'm not so sure what's going on with the Ferrari driver as he loops it in front of the leaders towards the final few corners. And Luke Davies in the meantime, as, oh, Yuri Wessels must have had an issue as he got passed by both Luke Davies and Bourboon, but Davies now out to fourth, as he's going to try making his way back towards the battle for the lead as he's got the speed to do so. As Santiago Araujo around again, Yuri Wessels with another 3-second time penalty. Jeez Louise. 11 seconds worth of time penalties just given to the Mercedes drivers. Today, Santiago Araujo around again. Not so sure what's going on with this Ferrari guy. Seems like he's just obviously spinning out every corner. As what has been a, quote, battle for the lead obviously hasn't really been a battle. Wait, hasn't it said Leighton Spite? I thought Leighton Spite retired from the session. We have a safety car because Santiago Araujo spun into the barrier, losing his front wing. So I'm not sure how to feel about that. So Leighton Spite left the session rather than retired from it. But Santiago Araujo has spun out for like past 3 laps straight. Now has no front wing, caused a safety car, and is all of a sudden not spinning out anymore. I'm not understanding the circumstance at hand, but Thomas Main's going to dive it into the paddock area regardless. to change tires, probably to put him on the set of hards for the rest of the race. See Con Dolger, Luke Davies, Borboon, Yuri Wessels, they're all in the pits now. As Fidel Fabian has just noticed has stayed out, obviously on the hard tires. So this could be a interesting strategy. Well, then again, he's now on the same strategy as the race leader of Davison. So give it to him, I guess. See everyone else behind. We'll just pull it up on the good old screen. I believe we can't. Excuse me, jeez. So obviously only 8 laps into this race out of 31. Yeah, we're in for a long night as commentators also on a time crunch. Oh, so now all of a sudden he's not spinning. Huh. As usual, that is obviously there is nothing to discuss under the safety car period. It looks like Con Dolger served his 5-second penalty during the safety car, so that keeps him in 4th nevertheless. But we'll bring back commentary when we go back racing here in Singapore. So we're in for quite an oddball of events. here we are as we approach the third sector. It looks like we'll be going back racing this time. Yes, safety car in this time. Now the question is, can these guys on the old hard tires, well, not really old, but 9 laps old is a huge difference compared to 2. You see Kyle Albert on 2-lap old mediums, Vescovati on 9-lap old hards, Brendan White 5-lap old mediums, 4-lap old mediums for Leighton Spite, and Santiago Araujo on 4-lap old hards. These guys get their tires warmed up and ready to go. There's still a ways to go. Let's keep an eye as they set it roaring down the front straight. Here in just a second. There you see Dean Davison's going to get it back going, and so will Fidel Fabian, timing it well on the start. Will be both drivers, but now Thomas Main just behind, who's been charging behind the Aston Martin all day as everyone else tries to get just a little bit of heat into those tires as quickly as possible. Now let's see, will the Red Bull driver get eaten alive very quickly, because he's going to play bodyguard to the race leader now, it seems. Fidel Fabian's going to have to defend for his life if he wants to hold on to P2. But nevertheless, Thomas Main's going to get to the inside with a huge send around the Red Bull and get the elbows out on the exit to clear him for P2. An amazing move there from Main. And now Con Dolger is going to be the next to go. But with this difference in tires, will Main be quick to make a move on Davison? You see from the helicopter view, I love this camera angle around this track. You see these guys lined up behind the Red Bull, just trying to send it a little bit more than the other into the corner. But you see Davies made a little bit more of a send into the hairpin than what Con Dolger was anticipating, let alone expecting. But the pace advantage is surely there. As you see Main close in that gap on Davison. But these guys just roaring behind the Red Bull driver, as there's not much but a single file line behind trying to line up. It's just a domino effect of cars on braking, but now you're going to be left down this front straight. So if you got a little bit less downforce in the car ahead of you, you've got a move to make down into turn 1. I see Luke Davies getting a little bit antsy behind the Mercedes as he looks for a move as, wow, Yuri Wessels had a little bit of an issue there as he backs up into Brennan White, 2 seconds back almost from the Alpine driver, but looking to a move to the inside, just not the exit speed he needed. But now he's going to look to the inside. Luke Davies with the move on the Mercedes of Con Dolger. They're side by side on corner exit, and they're going to charge down this DRS straight. Even though the DRS isn't activated, it's going to depend on which line Fidel Fabian pulls, and he pulls the Aston Martin into the corner. But now, Luke Davies has to make the move on Fidel Fabian. These guys up ahead in the lead. There's 3 tenths, almost 4 separating them. Thomas Main just needs that DRS to get around Davison as quickly as he can. Looks like Davies just trying to get a little bit of a room, a little bit of a budge to get around the Red Bull just ahead of him. But Con Dolger is still all over him from behind as they sway down the bridge. And now a long straight ahead. It looks like a good exit for Davies as he's going to quickly get around the Red Bull driver. Con Dolger is going to sit back and watch and take notes probably, as he's going to have to do the same thing now if he wants to keep a charge towards that podium. And a caution in the back, I believe that is that the Ferrari driver again? Not so sure, as he's battling Vescovati and Leighton Spite. 2 cars that are not even here. Kyle Albert still here. 3-second time penalty for Santiago Araujo. Not what you need at all, but that DRS being activated. We're going to go on board with Thomas Main as he makes his way through the first set of corners. But that DRS straight's going to be the big factor if he gets around Davison. I truthfully think if he doesn't do it sooner or later, he needs to take advantage of the pace he has if he wants this strategy to work out in the end. As there you see, yep, Santiago Araujo around again, this time in the final quarter, but nothing to gain for Thomas Main. Nothing to gain for Maine, but another move to the inside. That's Kondolger who's going to get the elbows out on Fidel Fabian, but Fidel Fabian's going to keep the car there, but file it in line once again as he is getting eaten alive now by Borboon, and Yuri Wessels are both going to make the move, and a little bit of contact between the Mercedes and the Red Bull, and that's going to get Yuri Wessels around, but Fidel Fabian holds on to the position. Just a little bit of an optimistic move from Wessels, but I think a little bit of aggression from Fabian. He didn't want to get overtaken by 3 separate people in 2 different corners, back to back. That's gotta hurt a personality. That's gotta hurt your feelings if that almost happens to you. Making their way back through time-wise. 2:10 separate that gap for the lead. And Thomas Main's just all over the gearbox of the Aston Martin. It's got to get old seeing that Aston Martin, or the Aramco name, on that rear wing. But I'm sure Davison's tired of seeing a Williams in his mirror, and a little bit of a snap on the corner exit. But now there's going to be a run off the exit, only if he got it perfect. He's to the outside with an amazing move, but he shoots it off just a little bit wide. And Davison holds on just a little too much into the corner. And that's going to hold Maine out of the lead one more lap. Or at least a few more corners, because he may have the move ready to go. It looks like he used up a lot of his deployment. It looks like he used up a lot of his stuff in general to try making the move there. As even with that little bit of a snap, he seemed to have made it work, and now he's got to work all that back. So even though you're in Davison's spot, you've got one more pit stop. You still need that mandatory pit stop. If you're Thomas Maine or anyone else behind who pit right there, you're thinking, do I need a pit again? Can I make these go to the end? Well, that question arises when you see something like Thomas Maine making these moves, and you really question, he's using up his stuff. Those aren't going to make it to the end, so maybe his move is to pit when Davison does. But then you've got guys behind him like, Luke Davies could take full advantage of that if Thomas Maine pits with him. He could just stay out, save, and, hope best for the rest. It's going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays out. A 7-lap difference between their tires, just about half this race in and half this race to go. The corner that took the lead away, not took the lead away, but took his opportunity at the lead away. Thomas Main's doing whatever he can, and what would be the insult is if Maine makes the move work and just it falls off from there. But see, Yuri Wessels has caught back up to Fidel Fabian, as has Brendan White. It's a little bit of a wide exit right there. He's just going to let Wessels go, excuse me. Now is Wessels going to try getting any form. A lockup from Brendan White, and that's a damaged front wing. No front wing left on the car, and that's a safety car. That is a safety car, and that's going to change everything in terms of how this finishes, because now there's a free pit stop for Fabian and Davison. So now the question is, does everyone who pit for those hards pit on to, like a set of mediums or something, see if those work, or do they stay on the tires they're on? That is an inconvenient time for a safety car. Well, surely, yeah, they're both going to dive on in. Now Davies, he's going to do the same thing. Now, wow. Huge moves by a lot of these guys. Obviously, Fidel Fabian's going to go in, but no. Kondolger, Borboon, they're both going to stay out. Fidel Fabian does send it in. Yuri Wessels is going to stay out as well, although he has 6 seconds in time penalties. He may play wingman for his Mercedes teammate. Oh, and a little bit of holdup in the Aston Martin stall. That is a longer holdup than usual. What's going on in the Aston Martin pit box? Did Luke Davies just getting eliminated from this race? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that is terrible for the Aston Martin driver. He worked so hard. I don't believe what I just saw. And he's still, to my understand, yeah. Oh, this is terrible. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. A day gone sour for one of the Aston Martin drivers. Unless there's just some sort of glitch going on and I can't see. No. The stick drift's kicking in on my controller. That's always fantastic. Oh, and we got movement in the Aston Martin box. So Davies is back going again. And that's gonna hurt Davies because, you know, he was gonna be up towards the front. Now he's in P11. And those tires are surely going to be worn because now he's going to use them up to catch the pack. I have never seen anything like that. But, I mean, sure, we got a race on our hands. We got 3 guys on older, hard tires. You know, the rest of the field's on fresh mediums, but Luke Davies has really gone through the ringer today. He has fought through enough just for that to happen. Can my stick drift stop kicking in? That'd be, you know, appreciated. Oh, geez, that's terrible. Okay. The way Thomas Main's driving, it's almost like there's a car there, but there isn't visually. Maybe he's just leaving extra space. I'm not sure. Can we confirm that? Okay, yeah, no, Davies is hauling to catch back up, but I'm lost for words. I don't think there's a way of keeping any professionalism in that. You just watch someone get robbed of a chance to win. See, Dolger, he's, you know, reserves. Both reserves are at Mercedes. There are 2 reserves at Mercedes, should I say. Bourboon, obviously a full-time driver for Alpine. Will Davies get there this time? I hope he does. Actually, I don't know if he will. Hopefully it gives him like another lap so we can like change tires or something, because that is so just odd. So setting up to have everyone go to the end on the tires they're on. Will the drivers on hards be playing the safer strategy by staying out and getting that valuable track position? And safety car in this time, so that confirms. Yeah, Davies is going to have to work his way back through this field. Just can he do it quickly enough? So the drivers get set. You see Dolger getting ready to set them flying down the main straight. He's got a teammate sitting in P3 on the same strategy. That may not be ideal for team circumstances, but for driver circumstances, that is a lot. Santiago Araujo gets a 3-second time penalty under the safety car and a little bit of a checkup right there. It looks like he got going a little too early, but that's going to back the rest of the field right back up into him, and that's going to allow for Davison to make quick work, maybe? No. That's going to allow Yuri Wessels to get around Bourboon quickly. And Thomas Main's going to get around Davison because of it. No, he's not. They're 3 wide going into the straight. And contact! Main's around. Not at all what you need. Bourboon's going to get into the wall. And now Davison flying down the straight. He's got nothing to worry about now except the 2 drivers on older tires ahead of him. But El Fabian sitting on fresh mediums behind Bourboon now. He's going to lead the charge. The rest of the drivers trying to work their way up. Thomas Main's now got a ways to go if he wants a shot to win, but Davison may have this one locked up if there's no mistakes and gets around those Mercedes with no problem. We're about to see a back gunner, all right. As I mentioned earlier, with Davies being the back gunner for Davison, we may be seeing that, but with the actual Mercedes cars. Dolger leads the field, but his teammate with 6 seconds in time penalties, who, although they don't have much to battle for, could be the winning strategy right here, if you want to call that a strategy, that is. A little bit of a wiggle from Yuri Wessels as he tries to keep Davison behind. Obviously, when DRS gets activated, that's going to be a huge negative for Mercedes, so you better get going if you're Dolger. But I think his teammate's just on the same pace as him, but obviously, and there's a spin ahead! That's going to hold back Davison, and that's going to get Bourboon back in this fight as he's going to send it to the inside of the Aston Martin driver who's led practically this entire race, but makes nothing work with it. And now Davison's got a clear way ahead to Dolger. 3-second time penalty for Del Fabian. Multiple warnings. Oh, that is tough for the Red Bull driver, but he's still got ways to go as he tries to make his way up to Bourboon. It's on those older tires. Maybe he could salvage something, but Thomas Main's back in the hunt. Another car around. That's Luke Davies. Still not a good day for Davies. Not sure if he made contact with one of the other drivers. That could have been Thomas Main he made contact with, but Main's on the hunt, and he is not happy. Hell, he could be blaming Davison for that incident that took place. The long effect here. Can Davison make quick work of Kondolger? I'm not sure he'll be able to do so. He's lined up just behind, but not close enough to make a send, possibly. Still, if he backs him up just enough, this could get Thomas Main involved. Same tire, same strategy, but the spin adding on a little bit of wear and a little bit of snap from Davison as Dolger gets just ahead before getting possibly caught up in something he didn't want to be involved in. Just a little ways to go. The Mercedes factory car, a Mercedes powered car. Right here, the defending champion's gonna try and send it here. No, he doesn't even need to send it because he's gonna clear Dolger before turn one and gets a little wide on the exit, but nothing to worry about because now the path is clear ahead and all he has to do is drive for the remainder of this race, and it's a win coming his way once more. But the real fight's behind them. The real fight is that Williams working his way up, closing that gap, because he's trying to get a win right now. Surprisingly, Fabian has not gotten around Barboon quick as I thought he would. Obviously, we saw Main and Davison flying through everyone, but geez, he is having a hard time to try to get around them, so that may be something of cause and effect. See, Barboon, maybe he's got something for Kondolger to get P2, but right now your podium is as follows. Dean Davison, who sits at the top step. If everything goes his way, obviously it's gone his way all race. Barboon in P3. And obviously Fidel Fabian just there in P4. Oh, keep an eye on that Williams, who is not far behind at all. You see him creeping into the frame each time on corner exit. And we have a yellow. And that is a retirement on track. And that is Santiago Araujo. But will that be a safety car? I am not so sure it will be. Which is crazy to think. Two broken wings. And yes, it is! It is a safety car. And that's going to be an easy pit stop for a couple guys as Fidel Fabian does get in. It looked like he missed it. And can the stick drift go away? That is annoying on so many levels. You see Barboon also dived it in. That was perfect timing for them. But not perfect enough because that means Davison beat out the safety car. So now he's going to be able to put on those same tires that they just did. Barboon put on mediums. Fidel Fabian on the softs. Not so sure that's the ideal strategy call here. But I guess we'll see. Brennan White put him on. Luke Davies put him on. So maybe that is the way to go. Kyle Albert on the mediums. Yuri Wessels on the mediums. Oh boy, oh boy. Now you've got Thomas Main. Does he stay out? Hell, does Kondolger stay out once more? They've got the timing to do so. 9 tenths. Jeez, was the gap really 9 tenths? Once more, if you're just tuning in, this is the Formula Virtual Racing Academy here under the lights in Singapore. As we have had quite an interesting race, and that's the only word I can use to describe it, interesting. 14 drivers, 11 left here today, this being the third safety car of the night. But man, oh man, Davison's got to hold up what he's been doing all day, but now he's going to have some people maybe on the same strategy as him and maybe in the same ballpark, because now you question if Thomas Main's going to put on the softs knowing he's as fast as Davison, or does he stay out? He is going to stay out. He's going to keep those mediums to the end. He wants the race lead. He thinks he can do it. 5-second time penalty for Kondolger for speeding into the pit lane, but the race lead goes to Thomas Main. Davison's on fresh mediums, and so will be Kondolger. So that's interesting to see how that will work out. Thomas Main's got to go a little more longer on those mediums instead of going softs. So 3 drivers on those fresh red tires. Or at least in IndyCar terms, it'd be called red tires, the red sidewalls, the softs here. So how will this play out? As per usual, we'll bring back commentary when we are back to racing conditions. I'm not so sure what I just watched. Thomas Main has retired the car from the session, from the race lead. Which hands over the lead to Tyler Davidson. Why did that just happen? The Williams... Oh, he got disqualified. What? Ignoring yellow flag. Did he pass the safety car? I'm not so sure what just happened. Oh, he did pass the safety car. Oh no! He was pitting. Oh, I just looked back at the stream to see that. Oh my. I looked down for 2 seconds just for that to happen. Okay. So a huge change of events and a sad way for a race to end. Thomas Main come home P14 after what could have been a race of a race for sure. Professor Gobati did not start this race, so that is an AI sitting in P2. But I think it's safe to say that that Davison's got this one in the bag, and he's going to walk away with this one. As he sends it back green, you see he roars out of the final corner and back down the main straight. With just laps remaining in this race, the battle for P3 goes on. Condolger, Borboon, they're going to fight for that one. Fidel Fabian up to P4 now. Brendan White not too far behind on those soft tires as well. Moved to make, indeed. You see Borboon side by side with Condolger. They're going to continue to go, but it looks like Borboon's going to use that ERS deployment to get around the Mercedes driver, who then moves right back in front of the Red Bull, who's going to make a move to the outside but has to back out of it. The closing gap right there, and Stick Drift tries to have a mind of its own. Quite the annoying thing to have while on commentary. There's a ways to fight the 2-second lead that Davison already has. It plays a factor indeed, but now you got Yuri Wessels, who's going to try getting around Brendan White. He is all over the gearbox. Jeez, I thought he was going to take him with him when he moved to the outside. But just closing the gap. This is superb defense from the Williams driver on the softs, but side by side once more. They're going to continue it, and a little bit of contact there. They both get sideways, but they both hang on to it. Luke Davies getting probably annoyed sitting back and watching this from P7, as he knows he should have been top 3. As wonders could say what Thomas Main thought. It's a 139.113 set by Davison as he roars away, walks away. He just takes this win like it's nothing. Borboon almost a second gap on Dolger, but now can Fidel Fabian sneak up on Dolger and possibly get a podium here in Singapore? I wouldn't rule out those guys behind as Santiago Araujo leaves the lobby now. Battle for P5, and oh, contact right there, and that's going to put him in the barrier. Oh, Wessels, more contact. It seems like that's happened a few times today, and a lock up there from Brendan White. Oh, the annoyance right there. We've seen Wessels make a little bit of contact with a few guys today. We just saw the contact with Brendan White last lap, and then just there, and earlier this race with Fidel Fabian. Not so sure he's making a lot of friends out on this track, and hey, that may not even be his goal to be making friends out here. But now Fidel Fabian has got to put on a defense of his own if Wessels catches up to him. 4-second lead that Davison has over Borboon. 1 lap fresher tires. Guess you could say the mediums did their job. Another fast lap with a 139.109 for Davison on those mediums. None of these guys on the softs have even gotten close. DRS enabled. And not sure really there's a battle that it could really help out with unless Davies can get around the Mercedes as he tries to fight. Right here, obviously 6 seconds for Wessels, since making the moves he has was really questionable. I mean, sure, you can try getting those penalties for folks, but you should not give yourself another reason to get a penalty post-race if you want to remove some. Davies keeping that gap close, but they are charging in on P4, that Red Bull driver who's slowly fading away from the podium. We saw it for a moment, but now it seeps away just ahead. Now he's going to have to go into defense to hold on to the top 5 if he chooses to do so. Obviously a time penalty for Fidel Fabian on top of that, 3 seconds. So nevertheless, he will be walking away with possibly P3, maybe a P4 if time penalties work out the right way. And keep an eye on the movement throughout the field. See 9 positions gained for Yuri Wessels. Obviously starting P14, and if he finishes P5, that will be driver of the day by default. It's just a good race from him in terms of just how it's gone. Luke Davies probably had one of the harder races on the way. Not at all ideal. 3-second time penalty for Borboon, so now this battle for the podium gets more entertaining because now Davies has a shot at a podium whether any of these guys ahead of him like it or not. Let's see, we're going to keep an eye on this battle for fourth. There's a move to the inside. Yuri Wessels, he's going to send it. As he makes it work, he clears Fidel Fabian. So soft tires are not working out for him in the long haul, but keep that gap close because those penalties are going to mean something in just a couple laps' time. Let's see if Davies will make quick work. He's going to look to the inside of Fidel Fabian. Almost contact between the two as he tries to just play defense as much as he can, but he thinks better and backs out. Accepting his fate in terms of the battle. Boon's still got to fight though, as he can still hold on to P2. It's going to be a little harder than anticipated. Really makes you wonder what Davison does in order to get the leads he does, because an 8-second lead, so we're on lap 29 out of 31. Much left going on as what has been just a race all over the place. Multiple things happening, obviously with our leader to be under that safety car period. Looked like he was diving down in the pits, got disqualified, and that ends his race. So a little bit of an odd move there from Maine, but gee, that does suck to have happened to you. It's just whenever it looks like Davison has someone who can beat him, just something goes wrong for them, but he keeps the world's cleanest race. Dolger is going to try getting around Borboon. He looks to do so in almost every corner, but now he's got his own teammate behind him. Yuri Wessel, 2 laps to go for the Singapore Grand Prix. And the question of who gets the podium spots really coming in now. It looks like Fidel Fabian could be in position to lose P6 to Brennan White. If he keeps having the laps he is, it looks like those soft tires just fell off. But then again, you look at Luke Davies, who's, he's starting to slowly just slide back, but a little bit of pace left in them to possibly ring something up here. 10 seconds separate first from second, and that's a retirement from the race. Brennan White retires, and that will give him P10. Unofficially at least, and obviously no safety car can come out under these circumstances, which has probably got Tyler grinning ear to ear, as he knows he's can just coast around for another lap and a half and say this win is his. Dolger, though, he's going to have to hold off in contact to Borboon, and as he got pushed as well. I don't know why I said go body. Oh, boy. Oh, man. Looks like Con Dolger just locked it up, sent it into him, and then Yuri Wessel just continued the punishment. Jeez. Not what you need at all. Yuri Wessel has not had the cleanest slate today, as it looks like both the Mercedes cars will not be coming out with a clean slate either, but there's something. Yuri Wessel, he's going to cut the corner. Oh, man. That hurts for Borboon. He was about to get a P2, possibly, maybe P3, if, he lost one position. But, dang, that's just painful to watch. But Luke Davies is now on a cakewalk to P2 as he has no penalties. Kondolger sitting P3. Kondolger is P2, but he will be P3 if this continues to stay the way it is, as he's just not even going to fight Yuri Wessel. He knows the time penalties exist. He knows that there could be more at the end of the race. He's not even going to question it. He knows he's had a clean race. So it's going to be an Aston Martin 1-2 by the looks of things. If he just gets a clean lap at least. Obviously 8/10 back now, but that is painful to watch for the Williams driver. But now it looks like Fidel Fabian's got an easy top 5 after whatever happened ahead and into the hairpin. As we go back to our race leader, the defending champion, the man who has single-handedly just dominated this season by the looks of things, and we're only 4 races in. But give the man his crown because he's trying to go back-to-back with the championships. Tyler Dean Davison's going to lock up another one, and he's going to win the Singapore Grand Prix as the fireworks go off around the circuit. As another spin or half spin from Yuri Wessel behind. We're going to go back to Kondolger, who's going to cross the line in P2, but that did hold up Luke Davies, so I do believe Luke Davies is not going to get P2. Oh no, he will, because the 5 seconds of the drive-through. P4 for Yuri Wetzel. Fidel Fabian gets P5, Bourboon P6, though it should have been a podium, probably in the eyes of most. You hear the fireworks for Davison's win. Driver of the day, Yuri Wessel, is, I'm sure there would be people to disagree. Off to our podium celebration. And in terms of podium fight and what could have been, it was sad for some. But nevertheless, we see here that Tyler Dean Davison gets the max. He sweeps it. Pole, fastest lap, and the race win. 18 seconds. Wow. A fantastic drive from Aston Martin to get that 1-2. Kondolger with P3. Obviously, if you want to keep up with the Formula Virtual Racing Academy, or FVR, the Formula Virtual Academy, or Formula Virtual Racing, I don't know why I said FVRA, whatever, you get the point. Nevertheless, Singapore tomorrow for FVR. If you tune in at the same exact time, tomorrow you will get what should be an amazing race at hand. But nevertheless, to tune in for FVRA, we'll see you next weekend. Thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you then. Goodbye.